Hello, this is Kevin Ann at Eagle Strong Voice. I'm reading to you today the Proclamation of Independence to establish a republic in Canada, which was adopted in convention in Winnipeg in mid-January of 2015 by over 1,000 original signatories to this proclamation. Since then, the republic has been organizing across the country, and on July 15th, 2020, the proclamation will be reissued in conjunction with flag-raising ceremonies across the country to establish the jurisdiction of the Republic under common law assemblies. Over 50 of these assemblies now exist across Canada, and they're actively reclaiming the country from the grassroots under a new common law jurisdiction, the Republic of Canada. Here is the Proclamation of Independence. All men and women are created equal and sovereign. They are endowed by nature with an unalienable liberty to govern themselves free of oppression, violence, and tyranny. When any system of government is destructive to this condition, it is the inborn right and duty of all people to depose that government and through new mutual covenants create among themselves their own governance to safeguard their lives and liberties. Therefore, we, the sovereign and freeborn men and women of the land known as Canada, as the source of all authority and law, and according to the obligations bestowed on us by necessity and right of natural law, we do hereby proclaim the following truths and intentions. For centuries, the predatory foreign powers known as the Crown and Church of England and the Church of Rome have imposed themselves as a warring occupation force on our original nations and on all Canadians. These powers have violated and drained our lands of their vast wealth and vitality, waged cruel and unrelenting wars of extermination against Indigenous nations, murdered the innocent, imposed fraudulent laws and taxes, subverted our liberties, stolen and destroyed our children, and kept us in a state of colonial dependency and impoverishment. The murderous impact of these deliberate genocidal crimes is attested by their continuation to the present day. Further, we state as a fact beyond dispute that the British Crown and the Vatican have imposed the same regime of fraud and oppression on the settler European populations who immigrated to this land, denying them the rule of law and responsible government, to dispossess them of their liberties and lands, and steal the wealth of the nation for a self-governing oligarchy, a robbery and oppression that continues to the present day in partnership with America and China. This war against our different peoples has been waged in violation of our lives, due process of law, and the law of nations. These crimes abrogated not only the basic Magna Carta liberties of European settlers, but the original Two-Row Wampum Treaty established in the 17th and 18th centuries between the Eastern Six Nations, England and France. This violation invalidated the legal instruments that the Crown and the Vatican have relied on to legitimate their conquests and continued violent occupation of the lands and lives of our peoples. Because our natural liberties and claims to our lands were never lawfully ceded or surrendered, but rather suppressed through war, genocide, and the fraudulent impositions known as Admiralty law and canon law, the claims of the British Crown and the Vatican to authority and jurisdiction in Canada have never had any basis in law or fact. The so-called Dominion of Canada and its de facto courts have never had lawful or binding authority on any of our people. By demonstrating only bad faith and duplicity in their dealings with our different peoples, Church and State in Canada have vitiated and nullified all treaties, statutes, and orders in council established under their so-called reign. Twice in our history, in 1837 and 1885, Canadian patriots under Louis-Joseph Papineau, William Lyon Mackenzie, and Louis Riel fought valiantly to unseat these foreign oligarchs of Crown and Church and establish a self-governing republic in which every man and woman is sovereign. The defeat of these patriots allowed a colonial regime to corrupt the hopes of our nations and impose a regime of genocide and tyranny on our lands. We stand in the tradition, proudly, of these Republican patriots and acknowledge that we are carrying to conclusion their dreams and program of an egalitarian and sovereign republic for all its peoples. The criminal nature of these foreign powers continues to the present day. As heirs to an empire of conquest, the present Canadian Church and State, in league with foreign nations, have continued to violate the lives and freedoms of our peoples by perpetuating genocide, institutionalized murder, child trafficking, enslavement, fraud, land theft, kidnapping, and destruction of culture and properties. Accordingly, these institutions have lost any right to legitimately govern or exist. Under international and moral law, these powers must be actively repudiated, disestablished, and replaced by all men and women who stand under the law of nature and its common law. Now, our defiance of these powers has been strengthened by their lawful conviction for crimes against humanity that occurred on February 25, 2013, in a common law court of justice established under international law and our own land law jurisdictions. As convicted criminal bodies whose heads, including the monarch of England and the Pope in Rome, are now fugitives from justice under standing common law arrest warrants, neither the Crown nor the Vatican have any claim to our allegiance or obedience, or taxes or tithings. Indeed, to obey or associate with these convicted felons is to be an accessory to war crimes, and thereby to violate the laws of man and of God. Because of these facts, we utterly reject the claim that the present form of law and government in Canada represent in any way a free society. Canada was founded on and is sustained by fraud, tyranny, and foreign rule. The so-called democracy in Canada is an empty sham, employing the outward form of electoral freedom that is managed by an unelected Privy Council under a Governor-General accountable only to the British monarch. In this way, Canadians are denied the substance of a lawful, accountable, and just society. The legal system in our country is a corrupt circus run by unaccountable judges who serve the selfish interests of the Crown and its corporate and foreign business partners. Their greed has required the corruption of the operation of the law by denying just, speedy remedy for most Canadians. In practice, Canadian law is a tool in the hands of the wealthy that operates to evade and deny justice, while entangling ordinary people in unresolvable, expensive litigation, overseen by a self-governing and Crown-appointed judiciary. These judicial wrongs are the legacy of a clique-ridden colonialism designed to perpetrate and perpetuate minority rule. Now, this same corruption extends to every level of Canada, because by their status as the sworn agents of the criminally convicted Crown of England, every police officer, soldier, civil servant, judge, and member of Parliament in Canada are all colluding in a massive criminal conspiracy at the behest of a convicted felon known as the Monarch of England. As agents of what is a rogue power under international law, these public officials are obligated by their oath of allegiance to Queen Elizabeth and her descendants to serve a criminally convicted foreigner, not Canadians. As a result, every aspect of official Canadian society constitutes an unlawful and destructive war against we the people. The present regime in Canada is our enemy and will remain so until it is deposed. For these undeniable reasons, and as bitter experience has proven, there exists no institutional remedy for the oppression and destruction being inflicted on our peoples. The cure for the sickness called Canada is to return power to a people who uphold and establish justice and virtue. That power is being established from the grassroots through a living and direct democracy in the form of local Republican people's assemblies that are taking back power in the communities and that are rooted in the common law that unites all free people. Therefore, let it be known to all people that because of these indisputable facts, the time has come to nullify and dissolve the crime of church, state, and corporation in Canada by establishing a free, responsible, and self-governing society. The historical moment has arrived to create a federated republic of equals in Canada from among all our separate nations. We pledge ourselves to establish our republic as people who consent to covenant together according to our own natural sovereignty and the common law. In this purpose, we acknowledge that all free people must dwell within a community that safeguards the well-being and liberty of all of its members and not according to special privilege. And so we proclaim that the lands and the oceans and all of their wealth within our republic are not the sole property of any individual or group, but belong equally to all the people. The land and its wealth and industries will be held in common and in trust by the people as a visible sign that the natural law of peace and equality is honored and safeguarded. Therefore, upon this pronouncement and necessity, warranted by our sovereignty and right of claim as free men and women, we the people invoke the judgment of the law and the blessings of creation and our ancestors by hereby proclaiming the establishment of a sovereign and federated republic in Canada. This republic shall henceforth and forever be the sole legitimate authority and lawful jurisdiction over the lands, waters, and resources formerly known as the Dominion of Canada. Accordingly, and by this proclamation of independence, we hereby sever now and forever all ties and allegiances to the Crown of England and the Church of Rome. We disestablish and nullify their authority over us, and we forever extinguish any allegiance or service, contractual or implied, owed by us to these powers. We thereby separate ourselves from the government laws and statutes of the so-called Dominion of Canada and cause to be established in its place a federated republic under a separate and common law jurisdiction. In witness, therefore, we mutually pledge our lives and honor to the sacred purpose by setting our signatures to this proclamation of independence. We take this action freely and without reservation, according to our conscience and capacity as self-governing men and women within the natural law. Long live our sovereign Republic of Canada. A Republican Constitution will be issued at the first General Congress of the Republic, according to the will of the people and the decisions of our many local Republican Assembly delegates. On July 15th, this flag of the Republic of Canada will be raised across the country. Our work will continue. To be part of that, contact Republic of Kanata, K-A-N-A-T-A, republicofkanata@gmail.com. See murderbydecree.com for the history and the rationale leading to this republic. Stand by for more. This is Kevin Annett, one of the 3 conveners of the Republic.